Hey, I'm Steve Diggs. Do you know what time it is? It's time for Fast Forward Leadership. I'm glad you're with me today. Today, I want to encourage you, don't be stupid. Now, what is this about? Here's what it's about. Over these years, I have learned that most people are honest, and I hope that you're one of those people. But sometimes those of us who choose to be honest are not as aware as maybe we should be of the fact that other people in some cases are not honest. And we cannot necessarily depend on everybody in our sphere to be people that we can trust, that we can depend on. It boils down to simply keeping our guard up in a healthy way. I like what Jesus said about this. Jesus said that we should be as wise as snakes, but we should be as meek as doves. Never mistreat someone else, but be wise enough to see when other people are gaming you. There's a parable that I like that I share with a lot of audiences, and this is really kind of a parable that sort of speaks to what I'm trying to say here. 200 years ago, in the early days of our nation's history, there was a hamlet up in the northeastern part of this country, a small town, and in this town lived a cobbler. This man was loved by everybody. He had made most of the shoes that the people in that little town wore. He was a great cobbler, but he was not a great businessman. He had borrowed money from the town's moneylender, and this moneylender was not a nice guy. One day, very early in the morning, there was a banging, boom, 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 at the cobbler's door. The little man walked over, he opens the door up, and he looks outside, and there standing on the street corner in front of all of the people is the lender. And the lender demands, "I want my money, and I want it now." The cobbler looks at him and says, "But sir, I don't owe it until next week. I will have it ready for you on that day." That wasn't good enough, so the two thugs that were on either side of the lender stepped into the cobbler's shop. They dragged the little man out onto the city gravel street right here and throw him down on that gravel. And with that, the lender begins to berate him even more. Well, the cobbler's daughter, who has been inside the shop up until this very moment, she can't take it any longer. She runs out into the street, standing between her father on the ground and the lender, and she looks at the lender and she says, "Sir, what have we got to do to appease you?" And with that, the lender looked at her and said, "Well, young lady, so you want to get involved? Very well. You can do one of two things. You can either turn around right now and go back inside that shop, and I will take the house. I'll take the shop, and I'll take the money. Or if you wish, I'll bend down on this gravel street right now, and I'll pick up two stones. I'll pick up a brown stone, and I'll pick up a white stone, and I'll put them in my money bag. You reach inside my money bag, and you pull out one of the stones. If you pull out the white stone, then all is forgiven, all is forgotten. I walk away with nothing. But if you pull out the brown stone, then I will take the house, I'll take the shop, I'll get the money, and young lady, you will become my bride." Well, before she could even think, the old grudgy man was down there on the ground and he was picking up the two stones. But she noticed that instead of a black or brown stone and a white stone, he was actually picking up two brown stones. So thinking quickly, she said, "Sir, I'll take you up on that." And quickly, she reaches inside the money bag and pulls out one of the stones, of course, a brown stone. But before anybody can see it, she lets it drop, and it instantly mingles back with all the other stones here on the ground. And then she looks at the lender and she says, "Sir, I have dropped your stone, but please, please reach inside your bag, pull out the remaining stone, and hold it up for all to see. Then they'll surely know the color of the stone that I pulled out." Well, the old man knew that he'd been had, but he was too embarrassed to admit what he had done. So that day he went home with no shop, no money, no house, and no bride. You've got to get smart. You got to pay attention. You got to realize that not everybody is going to treat you as honestly as hopefully you're treating them. Hey, I'm Steve Diggs. This has been Fast Forward Leadership. Great ideas at the speed of light. I'll see you next time.